um, um,
um, um, um,
um,
um,
um,
um, um,
mhm,
um.
um,
Um,
hi, we are the Screen Sisters, and we are back for round two,
we're going to
two,
talk about
two,
Thor. Thor. Thor
Thor,
4.
Thor 4, more Thor.
More Thor.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yep. It
Thor,
came out.
it did. It came
Officially,
out
it came out. Yeah.
finally. Now we can watch the trailers.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I haven't
I
watched the
haven't
trailers
seen
yet.
that. Well, one of the trailers played when I went to see like Jurassic Park or something. And
Okay.
I was just like, damn it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
where do I look?
Derek, what do you think? You think this is probably the best Thor movie, or I don't know how you feeling?
Um, I think I need to see it one more time.
Okay.
That's just how I feel. I don't. It's so funny. I haven't even thought which Thor is my favorite now. I haven't even had that conversation with myself yet. Wow. Okay, so we're gonna come back to that later because it's gonna take a while. I haven't
Well,
thought about that
I mean,
yet either.
initially for me, before this movie came out, my favorite Thor movie was still the first Thor movie,
Okay.
which is probably wild, but I
Hey,
did not
everyone's
like.
favorite is either 1 or 3.
Yeah, I didn't like Ragnarok all that much, and
Hmm.
I mean, I
I
watched
remember
it.
that really shocked me when you told me you didn't like Ragnarok that much. I was just like, how?
I
Like,
don't.
I thought it was just so fun.
Yeah, I think there's something I'm looking for when I go see certain characters, and I don't think I got that in Ragnarok, which I think they kind of made up for a little bit in Infinity War. But whatever. Well, that's another conversation for another time. So for this movie, for Thor: Love and Thunder, wildly funny. I was laughing a lot. I,
Hmm.
I my issue with Ragnarok was that I felt like there were so many jokes I couldn't absorb any of the actual story that was happening.
Hmm.
I was not devastated at all when his home got destroyed, and I felt like
Hmm.
I should have, I
Yeah.
felt like as an audience member, as a fan of the franchise, and as somebody who's seen this character for X amount of years at this point,
Hmm.
I should have felt something with him having to watch his home world get destroyed, and I didn't really feel any of that, and so I felt like it was just too humorous for me, and that there were jokes coming in right after those punches. But for this movie, I felt like they handled the pacing a lot better, and that
Hmm.
those emotional moments got to breathe a little more before the joke came in.
Hmm.
Between the two, I liked this movie more.
Okay.
And there's a sequence in this movie that I'm sure everybody has talked about that we really love going into the third act. And I forgot that we got a glimpse of that in Ragnarok, although the palette was different with
Hmm.
seeing Valkyrie having to
Hmm.
relive what happened
Hmm.
with her when they went to go fight Hela. So I always forgot that that was one of my favorite sequences in that movie too.
Hmm.
I don't know, how did you feel like going into it and pacing and that sort of thing? Did you like Ragnarok when you first saw it? Like you liked it a lot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm. I liked Ragnarok a lot when I saw it. With Thor: Love and Thunder, I really liked it too. I liked it a lot. I'm like having a hard time remembering if I liked it more or less than Ragnarok.
Hmm.
And again, I don't remember how I felt when I left the Dark World, and I don't remember how I felt when I left the first Thor. I did actually tear up when I watched it the second time. I teared up when they're in the hospital and he was like, "If you fight, you'll die," and I teared up at that scene. And then the scene where Jane died at the end, I teared up a little bit.
Hmm.
What was your question?
I don't even know. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But those are very good answers to that question that I forgot that I asked.
I wanted more Valkyrie, honestly. That's my
Yeah.
biggest complaint. I wanted more Valkyrie. And I know
Yeah.
the movie's about Thor, and I know it was about Jane becoming Mighty Thor. And, I think that if there was I think it's just me being just like, loving Tessa. I loved her in Ragnarok. I thought
Yeah. Yeah.
she was great, like
Standout.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah. So adding her like within the franchise, well, the MCU afterwards,
Hmm.
I was really excited to see her. I was excited for, her outfit and the fact that she had like the colors and the black and the blue. I thought the suit looked so good on her. It took me a while to figure out what was really happening in Omnipotent City the first time. Because when I first see movies, I'm too busy whatever. So when I saw the scene the second time, I was just like, oh, because I missed why he wanted to open the gate to eternity. I missed that whole thing. So
Oh,
when it was
okay.
happening at the end of the film, I was just like, what's he doing?
Hmm.
Like, yeah, I missed a lot of it the first time. I think I was just like,
Too
just
excited.
yeah, too
Yeah.
excited or whatever. And then I liked seeing Sith,
Yeah. I wanted to see more of her.
and again, I wanted more Sith.
Hmm.
I thought the scene when he found her was really funny, and
Yeah.
how she was like, "I'm gonna die now," and he's like, "Well, you have to, die if you're still alive." I just thought that was so campy and funny. Definitely, I told you recently that I had no idea how much I love camp, so I was the movie I thought was really
It's
campy.
weird that you don't realize how much you love camp, but everything you watch is pure camp.
I don't know, and I didn't even realize it. Like it was like
Every Guys, everything she watches is pure camp. I can't watch what she watches. I
I
don't
didn't
like
even
fun like that. I guess I don't know.
But see, and you know what else is funny? Because that reminded me, because the first time when I saw Ragnarok, and then Jeff Goldblum's character, the Grandmaster, he was just like, he's like, in other worlds, I would be thousands of years old, but here, and he just does that like,
That was funny. I
I
died. Yeah.
that was hysterical to
Yeah.
me, like the funniest thing I had ever seen in my entire life. I
Yeah.
thought that was hilarious. Some of the yeah, like the I think Tyga does a good job with like kind of I don't know if you can say that, but like writing charisma.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever said those sentences out loud.
Hmm.
But yeah, like I think he's really good at doing that. And yeah, yeah. Anywho, but then like, okay, so Lady Sif, we talked about that.
Did you think that her arc, they served her arc, Jane's arc?
It would have been nice if it would have been conclusive, like, and not conclusive, what's the word? If they would have, if there wasn't that gap in between. I think I mentioned that if there wasn't that gap in between Ragnarok, like if she would have been in Ragnarok and the Dark World, or if she wasn't in the first one, or if she was in the first one, you know what I mean? Like if she
Yeah.
would have had three consecutive movies, I think we would have felt differently. But
Hmm.
even that little piece of, this is what's been happening or whatever, I thought that was really sweet, because
Hmm.
to us, we were like, what relationship? Like,
Hmm.
just like Peggy and C, when everyone was like, why?
Hmm.
Stuff we don't get to see. And I like that. I like that it was stuff we never really got to see. I did think that the reason she broke up with him was because of her cancer diagnosis. That's what I thought going in.
Oh.
Yeah. And I didn't think that she didn't want him to know.
Is the there's a gap.
Okay.
Wars. Sorry. There's a gap. She We had talked about it before. She says 3 years and he says 8 years. So we know that she was snapped for those 5 years. Is the cancer diagnosis a side effect of being, coming back? Do you think?
I don't know.
Hmm.
But I think that's interesting now, because like imagine the entire span of the MCU and
Yeah.
all the stuff that's happened, and Jane Foster dies of cancer.
Yeah.
Like it's like I get that the reality of it is to make you feel like you were connected, but like at the same time, it's like you know we're fans now, so we're all living in
Mhm.
616 world, like
Mhm.
constantly. We're like, this is here and this is there and that's there and this is what happened first, and no, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
we're living in this MCU 616 world.
Mhm.
So I think like to know that we have aliens falling from the sky, and you know why have they not done any, research on Carol or Monica or Wanda about curing disease and curing cancer? Like that would have been the number one
Um,
thing that they would have done.
well, okay, see, now,
First,
no.
it was to make weapons.
Well, yeah, but if you're going to use people like that, then we're treading into the story of, I mean, I don't know if any of them would volunteer to do that because I feel like that would be a lot of their free time would be going to a clinic to donate more blood, to have more tests run,
Not so much
blood.
donating blood.
But
I mean, just like the technology that exists in this time. Like Tony Stark invented time
but you
travel.
were talking specifically about studying them, right?
Yeah, but I mean, so more like,
I don't think it can be done in a humane way, is what I'm saying, and therefore, that's just my interpretation of it.
what you don't think that's too much for me to think? Like, you think that's too much for me to think? Like, cancer shouldn't exist? I mean, like, I know cancer exists, but it's like, you know, look at all the stuff
Well,
that's happened.
well, here's the thing. We're still humans, and I think what we're seeing is the what we're seeing is the evolution of humanity through the eyes of this cinematic universe. But this is I mean, it's still beyond what the human body can do at this point. So there's still going to be cancer, there's still going to be disease. In order for everyone to be cancer free, that mutation would have to affect everyone, which means that people who are susceptible to cancer would have to die out. So, yes, you're still going to have people that have cancer.
Cancer. That's sad.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So, earlier you said that you cried when you saw Jane die the second time. And I'm not sure that I cried the first or the second time. I cried more for the kids getting their powers than I did
I
for.
did love, love, love,
So,
love, love, love
yeah.
that scene.
So the I
Love that scene.
so I agree with what you were saying that like that gap because she was missing for so long in the MCU, that emotional connection was now gone. And
Hmm.
so I don't think I was able to rekindle that within the
Hmm.
2-hour movie.
Yeah, I get it.
Just a beautiful shot. It's just wandering in the desert on faith alone, nothing else. Hoping that you'll survive or hoping that you'll make it to the promised land. And then to reveal that he has a child with him, hoping that you will be able to feed and keep your child from dying, which he was unable to do. And I think I told you the first time I saw the movie, I didn't realize that he was laying on top of her grave
Hmm.
the first time. Yeah, that was really sad.
I loved Christian Bale.
Christian Bale, awesome.
He was pretty sick, bro.
He was pretty sick.
He was pretty sick. He was
Um,
tight.
Personally, I would have liked a few more minutes
Hmm.
with him and his character. A, to see how they got to that point in the first place, then B, just to see the impact that his faith had on him becoming a god butcher, because I
Hmm.
think that was something that was missing
Hmm.
from the arc of his character. And for me, I thought that was something that was important to tell for his character because that seemed to be what drove him,
Hmm.
was initially his faith, and then
Yeah,
to lose it in the span of minutes,
yeah.
essentially, and to lose it hard like that too. He had to
Hmm.
watch his child die and then to have the entity you worship laughing at you.
Hmm.
That's horrible. But I do wonder if it wasn't necessarily about how they got to that point. I think maybe it was just more about the blind faith that we have,
Hmm.
for what we worship.
Okay.
But Gore showing up to Omnipotent City should have been a thing, I think. I think that could have been an inciting incident going into the third act with Thor already being there and telling everyone like, hey, like this guy is coming. And he actually shows up and then the gods can see, firsthand that he's slaughtering, their friends. And then I thought it would have been interesting to see like whoever's left. I mean, not saying that he would kill all of them at Omnipotent City. I'm sure people would get away, but whoever is brave enough would go with Thor and Mighty Thor and Valkyrie to the Shadow Realm to try to help, save the children. And then he would kill more of them there. But I loved watching that entire sequence on Shadow Realm. It was really
Hmm.
beautiful.
Yeah, it was
It
really
was
cool.
really beautiful.
And I never saw some of those scenes from the trailers, but I would see like gifs of like black and white images, and I'm like,
It did not even register to me.
but
Because
then I like I
yeah,
said, I didn't remember it, but when I saw
yeah.
the movie, I was just like, um,
Hmm.
and I was like,
How did you feel about being in Omnipotent City? Like some of the gods that you saw, you had named off a couple before. I did like that Bao was there. The dumpling.
it was so sweet.
Yeah.
It was so sweet. Yeah, I mean, I really thought we'd probably get a little bit more introductions on some of them, but we didn't get really like that many. So,
Hmm.
they're on like the gods thing, like we're doing, they just did like Eternals and
Hmm.
the Celestials and not Titans, Deviants.
Hmm.
I'm like blanking. I'm sorry. So
It's
we're
fine.
getting
And then
all of
Thor
these
himself
like,
is also considered a
yeah, like
god.
a god, and then we have the Carol and everybody that we've just been getting because we're going bigger, bolder now with the
Hmm.
stories and stuff. So it would have been nice to see kind of what's going on. Oh, Moon Knight,
Yes.
all
Yes.
the
Khonshu.
stuff
Yeah,
that
we didn't see Khonshu there.
yeah, all the stuff that happened in Moon Knight. That's what I was trying to say. Good God. Yeah, they're on like this they're on this thing. So we just got a couple of introductions, earlier this year with lots of Moon Knight stuff and Egypt, and then we got to see Zeus, and it's like Zeus really needs no introduction, kind of like
Yeah.
like everybody kind of knows who he is.
Hmm.
But the other ones, it would have been nice to see. We saw Korg's god, and it looked like we saw the Atlantean god.
Oh, right. You said sitting next to Bast, right?
I
Bast.
think so, or a little bit over. I really don't remember. But yeah, but I also agree. I think it would have been really cool to see, probably super expensive to shoot and film Gore just like in Omnipotent City killing people, because then that would have made, people a little bit more scared. Or if there would have been like he's been going to all the smaller areas with all the gods, like killing this little town, and then
But
everybody
that.
ran to Omnipotent City to, you know,
Mm, hmm.
hold it off, and then Gore finally came in and killed like 100 people, and that's when that could have been like a big thing. Like everyone could have been subdued, and Thor could have been the one. Thor and Jane could have been the one to take him down, and then Jane would die at the end of that one.
Do you think that should have been the town hall meeting scene instead? Like all of the gods rushing to Omnipotent City instead of the town hall meeting we got in Asgard, New Asgard, with the people panicking there?
Oh yeah. I don't know. Maybe, possibly. It
Hmm.
could have worked.
I mean, the movie is still keeping up with its like 80s references.
Yeah.
So I loved him watching him do the Van Damme split kick sort of in the
Yeah.
air and then
Hmm.
roundhouse kicking the other speeder.
Yeah.
I do kind of wish we actually got more Guardians. I
Yeah.
thought they were going to be in it a little bit more, and definitely thought they were going to show up at the end to help.
Yeah. But
Because
we're
at
about
that
to get
point, yeah, yeah, go ahead.
2 Guardian specials coming up.
Two?
So, well, the holiday special
Oh,
and the movie.
and there's a Groot show coming out too, right?
Mhm.
Okay, all right.
I don't know how much the Guardians is actually going to be in the Groot show, because the Groot show is a cartoon. So I assume there's voice work, but I don't know if we're going to see anything like too
Yeah, it'll
crazy.
probably
I
be all
think it,
Groot.
yeah, looks like
Yeah,
just a show for like
little baby
my
Groot.
child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like the non-stereotype of a black child listening to metal
Hmm.
when they entered Astrid's bedroom, so that was nice because I
And his name
listen
is
to metal.
Axel, not Astrid.
Oh, shout out. So his name is Kieran L. Dyer. He was Little Edison in Jingle Jangle, which I know you haven't seen.
Nope.
But Jingle Jangle
One day.
is super cute. But yeah, he was Little Edison from that movie. So it was nice to see him again. And then the young lady that played Bast was Akosia Sabet, or Sabe maybe. I could be saying her name wrong. Oh, and they mentioned Event Horizon in the movie, which Sam Neill starred in. I had to look that up. I didn't know he starred in that movie.
Oh yeah, you didn't know that?
I didn't know he starred in it, and I read the
Did you look
synopsis.
at who directed that movie?
No, who directed it?
Someone who has the most interesting director's history of all time.
Okay,
And I am going to tell you it right now.
okay. Well, while you're looking it up, I want to add. I would like to watch Event Horizon, so I think we should watch that.
It was directed by, you guessed it, Paul W.S. Anderson.
Really?
You know, he also directed Mortal Kombat in 1995.
I think I did know
You
that,
know,
and
he
I
also
forgot that.
directed every Resident Evil movie.
Yes. Okay. Didn't he also do? Who did? No, There Will Be Blood. Was that?
That was the other one. There's like four Anderson.
There are. That was Paul Thomas Anderson. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know if WS did that. I'm gonna call him WS for short because we're bros. But yeah. And then I also like the fact that 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 Jane briefly mentioned Interstellar, and then she made the joke about how it explains things very clearly, where most people walked out of it saying they had no idea what was happening. But the through line between this movie and Interstellar is that love connects us to one another and that love can save us. So I did like that, that brief mentioning, and then again those parallels carrying through. Yeah, like I think we've already said everything we need to say. I think I just wanted a little bit more. Oh, I wanted a little bit more time with Jane and Valkyrie too, because it seemed like
Yeah.
it seemed like they had like kind of a genuine friendship, and I wanted to see that explored a little bit more too.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
really like them a lot.
And then I really just thought we were going to see the trio of women working together.
Yeah.
Um, I had read a comment or maybe watched a video, I don't know, and somebody had said that they felt Lady Sif, her character was served better in Agents of Shield than in this film.
Hmm.
What do you think about? I mean,
Well, I
there
mean,
it's
in the
two.
Shield, she had an entire storyline. Like
Yeah.
she came there twice.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then the first time was because of Laura Lee, and the second
Laura
time
Lee.
was because of Daisy.
Mhm.
So you are an abomination.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, it's different. It's difficult to make an entire. I mean, it's difficult to compare someone having a guest star on a show and then someone having a role in a film when you're not the main character.
Yeah.
So those are two completely different things.
I feel like the general going audience, for the most part, that started going in 2008, we're getting older, and so I don't necessarily want to have to keep watching legacy, I guess, quote unquote, legacy characters team up with younger characters in order to
Yeah.
introduce them. And I feel like, I don't know if that's because they don't think people will go see these younger characters without there being a legacy character attached to them.
Mm-hmm.
And but then for me, I feel like it holds back the legacy character from having an a storyline that suits them.
Yes.
So I don't I'm not liking where this is at right now. So I'd either, but Thor and Love and Thunder handled it well. They didn't bring her on until the very end, which I'm assuming the next film they'll probably be the pair the entire film. But I guess I just want to know if I just want to know, do they have the confidence to let the younger characters have their own standalone films without having to bring in?
I'm not sure. I mean, we're not really gonna know until we make it through these things. I mean, every single legacy character has now been replayed.
Hmm. Well, that's it. That's it for that. And then also, I just kind of feel like I'm at a point of oversaturation.
Yeah. I think I think what's making me a little bit uneasy is actually Twitter. Like it's the constant conversations and the ups and downs of people's how people feel. And you know, social media really has an impact on you, period. So it's like
It's
looking at
tiring.
Twitter all day, especially in the comics world, it's just like becomes exhausting. So it's like I can't tell if it's just Twitter bringing me down or if it's just like no, I think that's it. Like because I don't feel like fatigue or anything. Like I'm interested in everything. I just wish like some of the stuff would just have a little bit more meat.
Hmm.
I
Maybe
love
that's what it
I
is. Yeah.
yeah, like I'm loving everything they're doing. I do have a bone to pick though. Like, why would you name an ice cream place Infinity Stones after a man who came and
Yo,
like
that was so cruel.
killed like half the world? Like, why would you do that?
That's
Like,
cruel. Because wasn't it? It was the original Gauntlet too. It wasn't even Tony's, right?
yeah, it was gold.
That's insane.
Yeah, because I was like, so I think it's interesting that the MCU has now trickled into being in the MCU.
Yeah. Do you like that, or do you
I
like?
but I think I think it makes it a little bit funnier too because it's just kind of like the comics, you know, like even when you saw Ant-Man the first time and he was just like call the Avengers, you know what I mean? Like just even hearing that little thing right there, and then you know, in Ant-Man 2, and he's like, well, Cap needed my help, and she's like, Cap, like, you know,
Yeah.
when you read a comic and they talk about other people, it's always just like, oh, they said the thing, oh, they said the thing, oh, you know. But I think it's how we kind of all feel about the MCU with the MCU. Like, especially when Kamala was like drawing and it was like Ant-Man versus
Mhm.
Man-Ant. And it's just
Mhm.
like, I wonder how many people have drawn that in the last like 10 years.
Mhm.
Like, just because, you know, Ant-Man is now a name that people know. Like, all of this stuff is just in pop culture. That's why I was saying earlier that we're all living in MCU 616 world. Like we're
Mhm.
living there. And it's the same with people who like love Star Wars. Like they live and breathe like all the different planets. Like I remember talking to someone and I mean look at someone's Facebook, I mean Twitter, who's like a super Star Wars person. So they're posting about all the different planets that
Mhm.
each movie has mentioned or like landed on. And you're just like, but you know, that's probably the same people who do the same thing for the MCU. You know, it's like, you know, we have the aliens and the Eternals, and we have
Mhm.
all this stuff. But then it's like playing D&D, or like when you're literally living in it.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that's like fatigue or not. I don't know. It just,
Okay. I noticed that my excitement level for this film was definitely lower. It was significantly lower after seeing Multiverse of Madness, and I was really excited to see Multiverse of Madness because it's. I think we're getting stuff like month ish, every other month-ish, every 2 months.
oh yeah, because I think She-Hulk comes out next month.
Yeah. I think I'm just tired.
Yeah.
Because and it's also because like you and I don't know that much about a lot of the characters, especially now. Now we're going into like characters that we haven't been following for however many amount of
Mm-hmm.
years now. So it's like every time we get introduced to a new character, we have to like, okay, let's go, do all this reading. Let's absorb as much information as we can.
Yeah.
Um,
But another thing too is like when you're watching a show or movie for the first time and like the first 10 minutes when you're just finding out names and locations and dates and you're just like,
I've mentioned this to you before though. Like, do you think as a collective audience, even with going into phase four, well, in the middle of phase four and beyond phase four, we don't need origin stories anymore?
I really, really, really don't think we're going to get one for the mutants. I really, really, really hope we don't get one. We all know we watched 9 X-Men movies and like even apparently real comic fans hated all of them. So
No, then they wouldn't have gone to
apparently
have seen them.
it doesn't
We,
matter. But again, we are just a few days away from SDCC. So we're about to get, you know, slammed
yeah.
with casting choices. We're probably going to get X-Men and Fantastic Four this weekend and a trailer for Wakanda Forever. But the thing is, I know that everyone in there is going to have their cameras out and it's going to
Yeah,
be
it's
really
gonna
annoying
leak.
because it's going to be leaked. And
It's gonna be leaked.
I really, really, really wish they could even do that. Like every single person like turn your phone off and put it in the Ziploc bag. Like there's no way you can do that in a room full of like how many people are in there?
They said doesn't like 6,000.
I don't know how many people are in there. Anywho,
All right.
we can talk
Well,
about this stuff forever,
yeah.
but
Well,
we
thanks for checking us out.
yep.
This has been our Thor: Love and Thunder review, reaction, what have you, and we'll catch you on the next one.